Well, hi everybody. How are you today? This is Mark Chaffardini. Thank you so very much for coming back to the Go See Talk podcast experience. We like to cater to highbrow listeners. We like to reach out to entertainers who will tweak your mind and your soul and make you think differently about the universe. I was reading a proverb that said, "Bad luck isn't brought by broken mirrors, but by broken minds." And the two gentlemen on my left and my right, in their capable hands, they can put you back together with their sonic atmospheres that just soothe the soul. These purveyors of awesome soundscapes, from the suburbs to the wasteland, the duo's capable hands craft bangers, beats, ballistic shockwaves into your DNA. MATOS' talent is like a sea of possibilities. One note, one pebble in the water, it will ripple for eternity. So, JP, JN, GLAD, to see you again. How have things been in your world?
Great.
Yeah. Great intro. Thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
exactly.
Amazing intro. I mean, it's been busy. It's been super slow, and then it's been busy for the past, I guess, year and a half. So that's good. Good to be back.
Well, excellent.
Yes, indeed.
Well, yeah, as soon as I saw that they were making a video game of Turbo Kid, it hit Kickstarter, and I don't think I've ever moved that fast to hit like contribute, be part of it. And so, year and a half, it seems like the video game's been in development for almost 3 years. So does that mean you guys came a little late to the game? How's that work for you?
I mean, video games, it's such a different thing. It was definitely new for us. I mean, we've been gamers for years, but being part of a game, like not just adding a song or something, that was a definitely new challenge, and the process is so different. Every movie that we've done, we had about a month of composing time to be able to start the composition all the way to delivery. And video game is a different beast because they start working on it, then they do some tests, and it evolves and evolves and evolves. So I guess it took them about 3 years to do the game. That sounds right. What do you think, Like, was it longer than that?
Yeah, I think about 3 years. That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they started just before the pandemic into working on it, and then they launched the Kickstarter, I think in 2020 or something close to that. But still, then we were involved, but we didn't compose anything until I think 2023, right?
Yep. That's it. Exactly.
Well, I guess getting involved in this universe, I mean, in 2015, it kind of took the world by storm, starting with Fantastic Fest. And ever since then, like the idea of Turbo Kid and Apple have become cult icons, synonymous with, I'm just going to say it, Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Granted, the merchandise isn't there, but it's still, there's a fervent, rabid fan base. But I can see you guys love your music. I love your music, which is why we love having you back. But I guess what's great is no matter whether it's a video game, a self-titled project, a TV show, it's great to see you smile when you guys are jamming at your keyboards, facing one another. What is it like being in that atmosphere where like you're just feeding off each other and making magic?
You mean like what we play live or when we compose?
Both. I think because I'm speaking specifically. I've not been lucky enough to see you play live, but you have the videos out there like
Hmm.
where you remixed a Slater song, and then you did an H23 Halloween thing, and it's just like the smile is infectious. So I just want to know what it's like being, and the camera's whipping around you, so it's all awesome.
And we try not to smile and look cool, but you know, it's like always come there. Like most of the time, if you see a smile on the stage, it probably means we fucked up. But like, I think that's where because we're trying to keep her cool and everything. But yeah, we kind of break. We're not as great actors as it seems. But yeah, I mean, we've been starting doing this project for fun, the same way we started making movies, and we're just doing stuff on the weekend and just like on the side just to really just express ourselves and have no rules or like boss behind us to do like music or movies. We didn't make money out of it. It was just the pure love of making music or making movies. So I feel like it's still kind of like the same vibe even if now it's a little bit more serious and it's more attached to like official projects and stuff. But I think we still keep the same kind of like approach to it of just doing whatever we want for fun, right? If
Yeah,
that makes sense.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I
Well,
mean, it started like that. Like we started making. I'm pretty sure we said it on the other podcast we did with you, but I was shooting those RKSS movies like in the weekend, and Jean-Nic was making the sound design, and we ended up having a band, and they needed like licensing free music, so they just took our track, and at some point they just asked us to make music for it, and that evolved into making scores and all of that. But it really is just like a kind of like making movies and music with friends.
well, when you take a compositional approach, I mean, the idea of the cinematography background and having a visual component to it, how much do those two intertwine? Do you ever start with an idea that feels like a crumbling cityscape and that has a heavy E, or do you come up with the note first and think, I think I'm flying through space? What comes first in your minds?
I believe the music always comes first. It's sometimes like we jam something out, and then like GP will say, "Oh, that makes me feel like this type of movie or this movie in particular." Then we're like, "Oh yeah," and then like that being said, we just move towards that idea of that movie. But usually it's the music. We start with the music first.
Okay.
When it's a
Well,
score, when it's a score tied to a movie, of course,
Yeah,
the
of
the
course.
thing, I think the difference there is just the fact that I guess it's kind of pretty rare that as a cinematographer, I'm there from prep, like before we start shooting, and all the way to like prep, then shooting, then I'm still getting involved a little bit in the edit, but I mean, as watching stuff, but and then when we do the music, I think we have an edge in the fact that I was there and I know what the director wanted, and I put myself emotionally with the camera and the visual. So I don't think I because I know Jean-Nic, I know our sound, I will be inspired. I think it actually going to change the way I'm going to shoot stuff. Thinking about the music, I'm going to decide to do a scene knowing that what Janik and I would do. So that also happened. But I think the best thing is just I know the emotion that we need for the scene and carry that to the studio. But most of the time, we just get inspired by whatever's on the screen when we're jamming for scoring, just for scoring.
very cool. Well, that brings up a parallel that I've always wondered. I mean, I met John Carpenter once. He autographed a movie for me, but I would have loved to talk to him at length because he's famous for saying that when he's making a movie, he doesn't think about the music, which I always find difficult. I think with a creative endeavor, you want to think of it holistically, and I can't imagine looking down a camera lens thinking that, trying to capture a performance, but and not in the back of your mind think boom, 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 they live everybody. But like yeah, so how do you compartmentalize yourself? I mean, I think you just answered the question, but it's in everybody's approach to music and creativity is different. I'm just curious how much overlapping is good versus I need to stay siloed until this is ready. Kind of like cooking, Don't put it in the oven until it's pre-baked or whatever.
Yeah, but you're gonna need to know all the ingredients for the recipe before you put it in the oven. You don't want to
So
put it
good.
after that it's cooked, right? So I feel like it's not specific that like you don't really know exactly what, but like I said, I think it's now it changed more the way I shoot than he actually it's not like I shoot for that kind of music or knowing that's the music, but I mean I guess it's a bit of both, but it's like I knew like in summer of 84 I decided to do that slow zoom on Mackie because I knew like that slow zoom with the music we would do would bring the audience in the right emotion. But if I didn't know about the music, I might have not choose a zoom. I might have like do just a static shot. So I think it's mostly I mean and I guess it's in the entire cinematography thing. You think about the edit, but the edit means sound design, music, color, everything. And I think it's really important to think about the big picture when you make movies. And I feel lucky to be able to do like a little bit of both. And it affects even a movie I don't score anymore. I really think about the music. I want to know what the director has in mind, and that's going to affect the way I shoot. And I think that's the best way to work, in my opinion. And it's great to bring and just do that with Jonick. And also I know the style of music, Jonick, and it's I never know exactly what we're gonna get at the end, but we talk like in Turbo Kid. Turbo Kid was a specific one because that was the first one we scored. I've never done this before, but I had the script before going into shooting, and we actually did two tracks before we go in principal photography. We did Wasteland and we did Highway 64 for the for specific scene. So even actors heard the track before we were shooting them. That's the only time we've done this, but I think it's a really interesting process to do.
Well, it seems like it's freeing too to not have to be tied to like a video game, for instance. Video game is an active participation versus a passive narrative, and like both mentioned earlier, watching something on screen. So it almost feels like it's more freeing because there's a looser tether, so to speak, to the narrative. So I guess when you're working on the video game and you have an ability to over drape something, does that offer more creative juices, or do you still try to stick to the same emotions just to sort of nail the beats?
I think we approached the first. This was our first video game score, and we approached it in a way the same way we approach a movie score. We went with the emotional tension first, and then we built everything around it. And for that specific video game, we didn't do like the way they do it sometimes is they have layers, and then like the more action, the more layers adds on to the music. But the way we did it is like we had parts, and then this specific part looped, and then when the emotion changed, it goes on to another loop. So we didn't go through layers. So it was closer to a movie music composing way of doing than classic video game music making.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like they make their own edit almost instead of like adding intensity. And yeah, I didn't realize that, but that kind of makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, I've heard other video game designer sound designers talk about an A and a B theme, where basically it sort of ebbs and flows, and that allows you to have again more of the over draping or um, just more latitude when it comes to. I mean, like for instance, the game had good endings and bad endings. So is there an opportunity for you to say we love Becca, but if there's a resurrection of the Oozinator, it's got to be different, so to speak. Like, and I'm just making stuff up just to.
Mhm. I mean, I think the way we approach it, it's because like I mean, we play a lot of video games. I like video games music, so we kind of have reference. But at the same time, it was really making almost a sequel for Turbo Kid. So our reference and everything on this one was really what we did before the movie and everything. So we approach it the same way. There's different characters, there's different bosses. So we wanted to make themes and like kind of like it the same emotional beat that the movie was giving. But then it's just like making it work in a version that you don't know if the player is going to be in this room for 10 minutes, an hour, or 15 seconds. And that was the thing that's kind of like broke us a little bit at the beginning because we're used to like whatever's on the screen. So yeah, that was a challenge for sure. But I think we just approach it like we didn't look at how video game does it normally that much. And I think that's why we went the route John Nick explained, that it's more linear, even if it's interactive. It's more like an edit or a movie, even if it's controlled by the player, if that
Well,
makes sense.
yeah, it does. And I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't say I took so many notes, copious amounts of
Oh my
notes. I
God.
want to run through all the tracks with you. Podcast lasts 10 hours, but there's a couple that specifically like I'd like to know more about what makes you guys cool. Now, this is think of this like song exploder. I feel that when we listen to your music, you just get sucked in. I've been a fan going back to Join Us. But logistically speaking, when you hit a key and there's sort of a delay or a reverb or something, is that you physically pressing a key to let it play out, or do you press it once and put an echo on it? Like, what makes the Lamato sound so cool?
I guess we, if you hear like an echo or something like that, it's because we meant to put it there, and it's done sort of after it's done in post, sort of say, or it's already in post production, but it's added on top of the music, like while editing, to add like emotion with the effects. It's not like something we play live and then it's like live. Oh, I want to do that. Press that FX and put it on. Why I see the image. It's more like added on top. It's like icing,
I mean,
icing
Okay.
at
on the
the same
cake.
time, Yannick says that, but it's like you can see behind him right now. It's like my station. I'm not at the computer, and like on his side, there's like a huge table with like guitar pedal effects and stuff. We're trying to go more into that stuff. So sometimes I'm gonna play with a synth, and he's just gonna add a bunch of shit over it, as I at the same time as I play. So it's true that we do everything is extremely precise. I think Jean-Nic do a lot of the precision in the edit, but we still do like that kind of like stuff more and more live when we composed and just adding stuff and just like going like exploring. I think that's the thing. We're trying to explore a little bit more. I think that's what I like about this project. It's not like just at the computer. It feels more like a just normal band jamming, like the old school way, like they used to do, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. It that was more of a exploring approach than we used to like in the when we composed Turbo Kid. Mostly done like yeah everything mostly was everything was recorded on real synths, but there's a lot of plugins. And then now for this project, most of the plugins were not VSTs as you call them for synths. It was mostly effects, and all the synths are actually synths that we have here. So yeah, maybe that exploring part. I understand what you mean, GP.
Yeah.
And getting to a point where, if you listen to something like The Dark Knight by Hans Zimmer, the Joker's theme is just the one string, just until it'll mentally and physically break you. But there's, when you're in an electronic soundscape, there is almost no limit to how far you could push something. So when you're talking about editing things in post or having the ability to add effects, it's really kind of cool because, you can literally get so granular. If you want to stretch something out, fade it, and then all of a sudden throw in and this is a bit of a ramble. Like I love how let's just jump to Ride or Die is fantastic. The new Wasteland feels so video gamey. It's like exploratory and vast. But the one I was most impressed with was Narc. Or there's a bunch more, but Narc is great because it kind of ebbs and flows. It gets high and low, and then like right when you think it's about to end, that 454 moment, it's like boom, it takes you back up again. So the ability to do all that in a 4 minute track, maybe even just in, let me see, let's go to it's like there's a 2 minute change in Super Turbo Kid that just goes from ultra cool to super cool, kind of like from Nintendo to Super Nintendo. So there's really not a question there. I'm just rambling. Love talking to you guys.
I mean, I think Narc is there's so much stuff. Narc is the skate park, right, Shawnee? That's the one?
Yes,
Or
yes.
Narc is the one.
Narc
What's
is like
what's
the it's like the skate park theme but
Oh
slower.
no, it's the lower thing. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that area of the game is the one that we explored the most in a weird way because I think we were pushing a lot to try to be interactive and have change. It's like you're going with your bike and it's a skate park, then you're inside an event and you're like vents and you're just trying to crawl and like look at stuff, and then you can back out and there's like action and you're back in, and then there's like a sub layer to it that's the basement that people are, it's more like junkies and all that. So we really wanted to try to make it move a lot depending of what the player does. So maybe that's why it has like those, like it slows down and then it sends you back something. I feel like that's the first area I think we really worked on in the game, because that's the first one they have done. So that might be the reason it sounds like that. I think that was the one that we're really inspired by the gameplay and the environment,
Yeah, and the
right?
environment and all the junkies there, and that I think that that's why we wanted to go with like a slower, like druggy vibe. I don't know. It's kind of like a not very tight feeling, and I don't know. I think that's what we wanted to do with that track.
Yeah, it's like that old school kind of, like it's a little bit darker and creepier. Yeah, it was a fun one to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
You think of, John Williams, for instance, every time he
Hmm.
comes to a new Star Wars film, of course you have the themes, but then there's different areas and different characters and stuff. So you do have a through line, but I guess what gave you the most inspiration to just completely divert from what you've done before?
I think it's like it's the word grief. I think that the everything about the story of the game was about the kid grieving the loss of Apple. So I think that kind of like emotion mixed with Saturday morning cartoon, because it's still a game, so we still want it to be playful. So it's like the wistfulness. I think that was kind of like the based emotion that kind of like carried us to do those kind of melodies and go a little bit darker and a little bit more melancholic than the movie. Like it's there in the movie, but we needed to keep part of the movie and then just like bring it a little bit like sadder, let's say, and darker. Like the theme song, Super Turbo Kid, is super playful, but I think right when you're in the game, you kind of feel that tone shift, that it's Turbo Kid, but it's in like just a different emotion, a little bit more mature, even if it feels more like playful.
Okay, so I'm seeing an arc here. So this is the Empire Strikes Back of the Turbo Kid universe, which, if the Outer Minds video game page didn't spoil it, this is a little pit stop before the possible next RKSS. Can you talk any bit about that sequel to Turbo Kid proper?
I mean, we don't know if there's going to be ever a sequel. You know, it's produced and
No.
stuff. Like I wish I've read a script years ago. I know what's going on. I know what's the story and everything. But it, you're right. Like that was kind of like a weird in between two stories, definitely. And I think it shows in the music for sure. Yeah. But I cannot say anything about like a possible movies and stuff. That I can.
All right. Well, trust me, I was not trying to go for some exclusive soundbite, or was I?
Bug it.
Well, JN, I was going to make a joke before. I was like, okay, well, it's a partnership, but it looks like JN controls all of the equipment, and JP looks like he's in a Denny Villeneuve, uh, just like the way the shadows are
My
on your
office.
camera. Yeah. Okay. Well, so what gear have you acquired recently, or in the last couple of years, that really help you amp your sound, or just things are old faithful equipment that just is a standard for you?
Oh, GP, I guess you could say the hydrosynth. We
Yeah,
use that a lot.
the Hydrosynth was definitely a new addition. Definitely, like you cannot do a sequel to Turbo Kid and not keeping the original sense of the original movie and the original sound. But we're adding, I think there's a lot of it that's like definitely the Hydrosynth was one of the new one. Um, I think a lot of effects that we added, and we got more drum machine. The one thing we got that was kind of fun was the pocket operator. We got like a pocket operator, the Mega Man one, because just we're like we need a little bit of 8-bit sounds and like reference for from the video games era from when we were a kid. So we got that, and we just like we ended up just recording all the sounds from it and just Johnny was just layering it down as like on the timeline like a drum machine, but we didn't actually use the unit for the entire thing, but we use the song. I think it's like it's is it just in Super Turbo Kid or it's
No,
in
it's in
New
New
Wasteland.
Wasteland. Yeah.
New Wasteland, yeah. So that's fun. I think that, and we got an omnicord just for that. That's like a friend lent us an omnicord just for to have like a little bit of that kind of like nostalgic, like more like Saturday morning cartoon kind of like sounds. Um, you didn't get anything for this one for that.
I got the bearing a replica of the ARP 2600
Mm.
and Korg Monopoly, uh, the Vormona drum machine. We use that a lot also,
The cat,
and
the
that's
cat
yeah. Oh yeah,
was
also
the two yesterday track. Like a lot of it is like the cat synth, like the Behringer one. I think that was a fun one. Pain in the ass to work with, but yeah.
never stays in tune.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Well, I'm
I think so.
curious as a non-musician, what is you know, sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and playing
Mm.
something just gives you an opportunity to be like, oh, that's awesome. No idea what I did, but that was dope. So, do you have any happy accidents or things like? Do you really get immersed in something before you try it out, or do you just, you know, hit the streets? That's a dumb question.
No, not
It's
really.
not.
It's okay. No, we sometimes we would just like play with the synth. We would go through the presets, and then sometimes we find an interesting preset, and then we play with that preset a bit more. We personalize it, sort of say, or sometimes like more with the 2600, which is like a semi-modular synth. You can do crazy sounds, and it's like a happy accident machine. So that's probably why I got it. So yeah, there's a mixture of both situations.
But there's always weird accident that happen. I feel
Yeah.
it's like it's kind of the like an inside joke because the name of the band Le Matos means gear or stuff, you know, in French. And I feel like there's always a moment when the gear is acting super weird and something kind of cool happen, and we don't know what it is or why, and we just keep it and go with it. It's like if it's like an extra member of the band. It and like I can't remember which track it was on Summer of '84, but I remember that there's one that there was something that happened and it was just it kind of changed that track. I can't remember. Do you remember that moment, Tony?
No, I don't.
But
But I know
but
what you mean, but I don't remember the exact thing.
but it's like there's always something like that. It's just like some MIDI channel that just triggers something or like just a weird stuff and it was like, whoa, wait, what's that? And we're just like, that's
That
kind of
was not
cool.
me.
And then we
Was that
just
you?
yeah, it's like, yeah, no, I don't know. And we're trying to understand what it is and we don't. And we just like at some point go with it and it just add like we have like a track on the new album that's gonna be out like studio album, not a score, that's gonna be out probably kind of like back to school like this fall and there's a track that Jean triggered like the computer microphone,
Oh yeah.
right? And I said, "Hey Nick," and he ended up sampling me talking in the like it's a random thing that happened, and we ended up sampling it and using that mistake that happened. So yeah, the gear has a kind of the gear is kind of sentient. I think there's something there that's happening. Yeah.
It, you know, it succeeds in making you guys even cooler than you already are now. So it's like now you're legendary. But you know, I like tracks that surprise me. I feel like the Oozinator does that. There's a couple tracks on like that is I feel like the most fun, not fun. I mean, it is fun, but like the composition is so the through line of it and the art just works so well. But you know, I go back to Chronicles of the Wasteland and a couple tracks from Summer of '84. Join Us is just amazing, especially when you sampled that Terry Gilliam movie, the Bruce Willis 12 Monkeys, and just put you know his audio in there.
We didn't just to be just
We
to be
never did
legal
that.
about it. No, we didn't. We never did that.
Um, Not
You know
sure
the
I
name
was
of
going.
that track, right? You know the name of that track with the Terry Gilliam sample?
It's
Yeah,
not
Cinq
it's
sing
not
it.
minutes,
Sarah.
58 minute
15 minutes
pour
to
vivre.
live.
So it's
Hmm.
so that's the French title of Die Hard 2. Just so like there's like
Oh,
a
nice.
connection with Bruce Willis there. It's kind of
Exactly.
yeah, it's kind of a random thing. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
what surprises you? I think as a consumer, whether I have the vinyl in my hand or the awesome cassette, like what's cool about this video game soundtrack coming out by made by Mutant, it's literally got something for everybody. You got your MP3s, you got vinyl, cassette, and CD. What do you like to take home? What do you use on a daily basis? Do you have a preference these days?
unfortunately, probably Spotify, but like I think that's kind of like I'm kind of like stuck in that world, and I know it's not the best platform, but it's the one that makes it easy. Like the fact that I travel everywhere, but I still buy vinyl. I think vinyl is my go-to. I buy CDs because there's a bunch of soundtrack that's not available on vinyl or CDs or MP3s. So I think CDs is still a thing. I like CDs. I don't know why. I kind of like it. Cassette is for me is a fun thing, but I don't use tape anymore. I think I collect VHS, but
Yeah.
yeah, maybe we should do like a VHS with like a live stuff on it. But yeah, I think I vinyl is still my go-to. Like if I can, I think it's there's nothing like vinyls, and I it's not about the sound for me at all. It's mostly about the process of taking out like the disc and put it on, and then you need to listen to it because you're gonna need to go back and flip it and change the vinyl, and you can hold the vinyl in your hand, and the artwork is big. So I think it's the best way to experience music, in my opinion. Because like when I do that, it's because I actually listen to music versus streaming. It's just in constant loop
Content.
sometimes. Yeah, yeah, I love it, and I'm gonna stop. Oh yeah, that's good, but sometimes it's kind of like background soundtrack to whatever I'm doing. When I listen to vinyl, I actually take the time to choose and listen to what I'm listening.
That's
What's your
beautiful.
favorite genre?
Well, unfortunately, I have to say Spotify. I just That's the only place I listen to music on. I don't have a record player at home, so the only way. It's sad, but it's true.
Well,
What's the
the beautiful thing about music is that over the years it's become more portable, more convenient, and now it's totally paradigm shifting back to. Um, I bring this up a lot. I think 20 years is a good time frame for the people who didn't live through something are now
mm,
able to experience it, whether it's design or whether it's music. And I found myself just, picking up a Walkman last year, and I bought them on Discogs, but then I bought some new stuff. Like I bought your Turbo Kid soundtrack. I bought Mandy and Cowboy Bebop from a place called
nice?
VCR Drome, something like that. But I was like, I threw away all my cassettes in college, and here I am, it's
Like,
2025.
Regretting. Yeah. Do you have like the cassette player that's Bluetooth,
I do
or you
not.
got?
I got an old General Electric one, and
Oh,
that
nice.
that thing's a tank. So I bring it in my car. People laugh, but you know what? Makes me laugh. But when you say VHS, I remember when I moved into my house, my wife had some VHS and VHS player, and when we hooked it up to the bigger screen TV, I was just kind of appalled at how bad 480 transferred to an HD TV. I was like, unless you had a 10-inch CRT, I don't see myself going back to the days of VHS because
I
it's
think,
like,
I mean, I in the studio I have like a 13-inch TV combo with a VHS on it, and actually look great. Like I
yeah, it
mean,
doesn't look
it's
bad.
VHS. Yeah, and we hooked up like it's most of the time we play VHS when we're eating before, like when we have lunch at the studio and stuff while we're I just add like put a VHS in, and we hooked it up to like like the mixer and some speakers, so you get like a really loud VHS sound as well. That's like kind
Hum,
of like
VHS hum.
yeah. But
Mm.
yeah, and the thing with VHS for us, it's like we both grew up in Quebec, so there's a lot of movies when we were young that we saw dubbed in French, and those kind of like don't carry often to Blu-rays and DVDs and stuff. So when we found like we were watching Mortal Kombat in French, like French dub. It's so so it
So
just had
bad.
like yeah, it's I mean, I think that's why we do it. And I guess it's the thing with cassette tape, it's the nostalgia of it or like the novelty of it that
Sure.
that makes it, yeah.
JN, why don't you tell me an artist that you grew up with and you still, it's still your ride or die, and an artist that you found pretty recently, like, oh man, I didn't think music could get this awesome, and here we are in 2025.
Grew up with and still listening to. Uh, I rarely listen to what I was growing up as. Uh, I guess my brothers were older. I was a kid, and they were listening to techno and techno rave, and sometimes I listen back to those tracks, and like I'm impressed that they still stand up good today. Like artists like Orbital and other stuff like artists like the Prodigy. Also, like their old tracks, they still sound good today. And some new artists that amaze me. I could say, you've heard the band Wavo.
Don't think so.
Wavo, it's like a French duo. What they're doing right now is pretty good. I don't know what else. Other band, because mostly I listen. I'm in my car. I listen to mostly techno and tech house. It sounds funny because like our music doesn't really sound like that, but that's what I enjoy listening to. Um, but of some new artists, it's like there's so much stuff coming out. There's like I can't even tell one. It's hard to say. But like you should definitely look up the band Wavel. It's Weval. It's pretty good.
It is entering in my phone as we speak. What about you, JP? Or I can give you a
I
different
mean,
question if you.
I can answer pretty quick. I feel like I'm totally agree with I'm with Orbital. I think we talked about that band a lot, me and John Nick, and it inspired a little bit of the new album as well, and some of the tracks. Same with Prodigy. Um, but yeah, I feel like Vangelis for me is kind of like will always be one of the most important artists ever, like because of the score, but also is like just studio album that he did. I grew up on it. My dad used to be like a kind of like a DJ on the weekend, was doing like weddings and stuff where I'm from. And we had a ton of vinyl, but the thing I was always going back to was the Vangelis stuff. That or like Man Without Hats and like more like new wave band, but or like Indochine, like a French like kind of like new wave pop band. But definitely, I think Vangelis is up there. And in terms of new band right now, I think the one thing I loved a lot, if we stay in, because I listen to a lot of hardcore and metal and punk, but I feel like Sextile is kind of like, I don't know if you know that band, Sextile. So it's almost like it's electronic, it's like drum machine, but also it's really punk in their vibe, like really fast, really intense. Like they have a like 303 in their track, but also like guitars and stuff. It's such a fun band. They have something coming out this year. Really encourage people to look into it. And the other artist that I've been listening in loop right now is I take it out because his name is hard to remember. Is Sifaz Azaria. So it's like more like ambient. Like he's a pianist. He's on the it's that label again. Like Engine Chill, like Engine Beat, Engine Deep, all that stuff. So it's more like ambient stuff. So I think that's the two artists that I listen the most these days. Yeah.
Are they and Waveball, are they on Bandcamp? Because that's become kind of my go-to, is just to sort of I just get sucked in the rabbit hole of stuff that sounds awesome.
I'm
I
not
mean,
sure they're. I'm not sure they're on
you know,
Bandcamp. They're on Spotify. That's for
Okay.
sure.
Sextile is. I
Yeah.
really recommend Sextile. It's such a fun, a lot of energy. Saw them live in a super small venue. Now they're starting to make bigger one. Really, really like encourage people to listen to it. It's such a fun. It's like I don't know if you know the band Adult, but it's kind of like in that world of just like progressive electronic that's like high energy and punk punk vibe. So yeah, good stuff.
You guys are on a completely different wavelength. I mean, I have I have gotten to know some people from Bandcamp like Opus Science Collective and Krylo, uh, Kilimanzigo, and so I like their take on electronics, but also bringing in some jazz cues and stuff. Just, I mean, I think what is beautiful is that every day is a new experience. You can listen to something you've never heard of before. It could blow your mind. You could even listen to the same stuff you grew up with and be like, I never thought about Enter Sandman that way. Metallica was the first CD I ever bought before I even had a CD player. It was so weird. But well, why don't we round this out with a fun question? You mentioned video games earlier. You mentioned emotion quite a bit throughout this podcast. Is there, whether it's the music or the gameplay, is there like, let's go desert island video games? Is there like a one video game that you can't live without, or that you're so glad you played and you would, maybe even still play it now? I don't know.
I mean, for me, there's one game that's I cannot live without, and it's Tetris. Like Tetris have been my go-to. Like I watched the competition online and stuff like that. Like I truly love the Tetris culture and Tetris. So I feel like that's the game, but it's such a specific game. I think it's not. And if we talked about game that's more like emotion and everything, uh, Jean-Nic, what's your like? Let me think a little bit. What's your take?
um, uh, I don't know. I've played so many games, and like usually I don't feel like replaying a game, especially a story wise, a story game. Um, I don't know. It's hard to say. I recently I've been playing Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's kind of fun, but I don't know if when I'm going to be done with it, will I want to play it again? I'm not sure. That's
I
something.
mean, I've done like Link to a Past multiple times, like the Zelda from the
Oh
80s
yeah,
from the Super Nintendo. That game is like I can play it over and over again. And I'm a huge Zelda fan. I think that's my favorite franchise, hands down. I can replay those games. I'm now replaying like Borderlands, like one of the Borderlands. I think that's another franchise that I really like. I do replay game. Like sometimes it happens to me that I bought a game, I'm buying a game, I play for a couple an hour, and then I stop and I go back to something like Cyberpunk. Like
yeah. You did
like
like 3 or 4 playthroughs, like with
yeah,
different characters. You did
I
all
did
the
it. Yeah, I did.
characters.
Yeah, I did. It's rare. That's pretty rare, but Cyberpunk for me, I think it's because it's just, and it's not because like the music we make or stuff like that. It really is just a really well story and build. I mean, it's just interesting. But also, I don't know if you like a game that I really want to replay that I think is it's more indie and I think it's really interesting. It's what's the name of the cat game again? Like
Oh,
Stray.
Stray. Yeah,
I think Stray is one of the rare games that I got really emotional playing it. Like story wise, it's kind of crazy. It goes into like an existential kind of thing at the end, and it's deep in a really good way. And I like when games can do something like that. And I think it's that kind of game that brings it closer to what a movie would give me uh, in terms of experience emotionally. So I think that was one that was kind of always in my mind when we were doing this. That and Celeste was just a simple game, platformer, but with such a deep and important message in it. with music that's really really emotionally involving and stuff. So yeah, that's a couple of games. Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed the Last of Us, the first one. I think I did it 3 times. Yeah. Looking back, you kind of remember what you did. So many games.
Yeah. So many content.
Exactly. So much content. Yeah.
Well, I think it was I like to say that my tastes were not for exposure, it was through endurance. So meaning that I didn't
Mm,
have a whole lot of options growing up. So, for me, it was DuckTales. I played that almost every single day.
wow.
Just the music and the playthrough. And I only realized recently in my grown adult life that you can have multiple endings depending on how much money you achieve.
Oh
Like
wow.
your money pile's bigger or smaller or nothing. And anyway, I love that. But I found I was digging into some emulators not too long ago, and two games that I've never heard of, but who have sort of become my new thing. One's called War Wolf, and the other one is called Cosmic Epsilon. So Cosmic
Wow.
Epsilon is kind of like you're a mech, and it's almost like it's a first person it's like a 1 point perspective shooter. So just imagine that instead of like 1942 where you're going vertical, you're going straight and things come at you. And then Warwolf is kind of like it's a very interesting dynamic where you have like you play as a character, but then you can be hyped up to this wolf that has different abilities. And I've never even heard of them before, but they've just become really, really kind of interesting. So,
And
Huh.
was that on
Yeah.
which platform was that
both
originally?
I think they're both Super Nintendo.
Okay.
Kind of feel like the Japanese version of because like the Cosmic Capsule, I'm looking at it right now. I feel like there's like a Sega game that was exactly like that. That's probably the Sega was probably a rebranded of that or something. They did that a lot. But yeah, I remember playing a game like that. It's just you're going forward and you're just going up and down kind of thing. How was the music on these games?
Warwolf is actually kind of cool. I don't think I've lasted long enough in Cosmic Epsilon to figure to really get in my DNA. Maybe like 2 minutes and then, but that's the fun of video games. Try and try again. So, um, well, JPJN, I want to thank you so much for your time. I think we've covered so much. You've given us music and games to check out. I'm going to put all that in the post and look forward to that studio album. Would love to chat again, and hopefully it won't be 5 years from now. We could talk in the fall.
It's yeah, it's in fall. Like that album has been done since 2022, so it needs to come out. So
Yeah.
it's gonna come out.
Yeah,
It's coming out this
out.
year.
It
Yeah,
has
it's
to.
coming out. No matter what, we're gonna leak it. Like it's
Exactly.
coming out. Yeah.
Do you think, I don't know if this is spoiling anything, is this going to be like a self-published, or do you think you probably work with Mutant on it?
I mean, always. I mean, Mutant. You know, like Spencer and Mo from that used to be with Mondo always like pushed us and released everything. So of course we're gonna try to always bring our vinyls to their whatever house they are. So I feel like Mutant is still a right place for us. So we're looking into it. Might be a little bit of self-release on digital and stuff, but we're not looking into like a big label or anything. So it's gonna be Mutant probably. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a fun one. It's kind of a sequel to, almost like a sequel to Join Us. That's kind of like this kind of like style.
Well, I guess until that time, we'll catch you next time. But bonne chance, au revoir,
Merci.
and
Merci.
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 Talk to you guys
Merci.
soon.